Hello everyone, today we'll be talking about my personal photo camera, which is the Fujifilm X-E4. So the first thing I want to get out of the way is that this review video is not going to be an in-depth technical review of the camera, its sharpness, its capabilities, its ISO capabilities. Because frankly, as a filmmaker, I don't care that much about it. As a filmmaker, you just want to be able to shoot when you're out and about in the field. When you're on a trip, just shooting a film, you just want to snap a few awesome pictures. That's what I care about. But obviously, we're going to start off with the interface and some gear things. So the first things that you will notice when you grab one of these cameras is that it's not that ergonomic, and you will need to get a few accessories to make it fit nicely into your hand. Obviously, you can go without them. It will be easier to carry next to your other gear, but if I had to do it all over again, I would buy the same accessories. So the first thing I bought is a little cage. And as you can see on the bottom of the camera, there's a cage with a little grip on it. Normally this camera does not come with a finger grip, which is very annoying, especially when you have bigger hands. So I'm quite a tall guy. I'm 195 centimeters, which is about 6'5", if I'm not mistaken. Whatever. And my hands are quite big compared to the majority of the population's hands, obviously. This means this camera falls very weirdly into my hand without this grip. But with this little grip, it fits into my hand, and the greatest thing is, the cage comes with a little base plate, and the base plate fits into my Arca Swiss plate. So I can quickly pull out my FX3 out of there, slide this in there, and take a photo of myself, for example, with a timer. So the next thing is that this camera comes with a very shitty shutter button. This is because it's based off of vintage cameras, where the shutter buttons are all like this, where you can put a wire with a little button in it and you don't have to touch the camera, for example. So I had to buy a little rubber nut that fits in there. You can just screw it in and the problem is fixed. The camera itself comes with this sliding thingy you put in the top of the camera, where your thumb can rest on, like a real film camera, where normally the lever would be where you would forward the film. And this is a very nice option because it sits super nicely in your hand when you're taking photos. What I really love about it is the minimalism in the interface. But it comes with its downsides. For some godly reason, they decided to put the playback button right underneath that lever, in the most weird position ever to reach. You can almost sometimes not properly press it. In my opinion, it should have been above the joystick. Although this might be a technical limitation which is within the build of the camera, but I'm sure they could have figured out a way around it. So on the front of this camera I have a TTartisans 27mm f2.8 lens. It's an autofocus lens, it's super compact and thin, which makes it very nice for travel, and that's a full frame equivalent of about 40 centimeters if I'm not mistaken. Put it on the screen right now so you know. The very nice thing about this lens, as I mentioned, is it's super thin. Autofocus is nice. For the price, the optical performance is good enough. It has a pretty weird lens flares, if I must say, which turn into vertical streaks, but it has its own charm and character in my opinion, so I don't really mind. So now we're gonna talk about recipes. The one thing I love about this camera, and the main reason I got it, is that I didn't want to spend that much time sorting photos and sorting footage. Because sorting footage is, in my opinion, way more work than sorting photos. And it's exhausting to have to do all of this and then also edit the photos, unless you find it fun. And since I shifted completely towards filmmaking, it's not that fun for me anymore. So I absolutely love the Fujifilm recipes and the ability to create your own inside of the camera. I still shoot RAW files since I travel a lot with other filmmakers and photographers especially, and they often want RAW files to edit to their own style. And maybe in post I discover if I want to change something, I can actually do it in camera. I can quickly change the entire film recipe or even exposure afterwards in camera and create a new JPEG. It's great. I share the JPEGs with my mom and then my girlfriend gets my RAW files, whatever, just an example. Now, the color rendition is awesome. It's so nice with these recipes. If you have it set up correctly, I'll put the recipe on the screen right now for these photos. I'll also put settings next to them. The rendition is just awesome. The colors are beautiful. And one thing I really love about these kinds of setups is that since I'm a cinematographer by heart, I started out as a photographer, but I went into the cinematography route. I started composing my shots differently. I started thinking about them more, focusing more on creating depth in the photo, creating a story in it, and just to create a cool photo. You will see this in my older photos here, that they all have this typical Instagram travel look. And all these new photos look way better in my opinion. They're awesome. They're frames. They're like, it could have been out of a movie, if you ask me. And I love that. And it has greatly upped my ability to achieve that. I started doing that on my A7 III, where I would just shoot with one vintage lens the whole night, and that's it. And I would only shoot horizontally, not vertically. It has just changed my vision on photography and filmmaking. I've become a better cinematographer because I can compose much better. And I've become a better photographer, in my opinion, because I become happier because of doing this, which means, in my opinion, that I have become a better photographer. I'm more fulfilled with my photos. I want to print them, I want to put them on the wall, etc. It gives you the look of film, close enough, but it doesn't limit you like film into the sense that you need to wait for ages for your film, you need to get it scanned, it's expensive. It just keeps you in that flow of just, okay, I'll just move the JPEGs to my laptop and send them to my friends, or my phone even. And as somebody who needs to edit like hundreds of shots after a vacation, you know, after a trip somewhere, I cannot be editing also hundreds of photos, you know. So yeah, final thoughts on this camera. Very simply put, if you're planning on getting an X100v and you don't really care about that form factor that much, and you do want an interchangeable lens, get this one instead. It's pretty much, it's literally the same camera on the inside, it just has a different body. And it's much cheaper. If you're a filmmaker and you want to do photography, but you want to buy a cinema camera but don't want to give up on photography, a camera like this, something similar, is the camera for you. You're gonna love it, you're gonna shoot awesome photos, you're gonna create great memories with them. You're not gonna be stressed about editing all the photos. So yeah, that was it for today, guys. Awesome camera. I'll see you guys in the next video.